In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the number one mistake I always see beginner guitarists making. This even goes through to intermediate guitarists, and this is just coming from my own personal experience, having taught over 1,000 guitar lessons to various students with varying skill levels, and it's something that I see all the time. And this one really big mistake that people keep making is it's this fear of alternate picking. And it makes sense to me why this happens a lot, in that downstrokes tends to come more natural to people, in that it's, you kind of just let gravity do its work, and going up and down is hard, and people find they make more mistakes when they do that at first, so they stick just to downstrokes. But really, it's one of the biggest things that holds people back, because once you start doing only downstrokes, it's really hard down the line to change that habit. So if you're watching this and you only play downstrokes, please, I'm begging you, start working on getting some upstrokes in there as well, because it will explode the potential of your playing. It really is common for me to get people who've been playing guitar for a couple of years by themselves, just kind of picking things up off of YouTube and off of Ultimate Guitar and whatever tab site they're using. And they always have so much frustration when we have to start working on this alternate picking technique. And it makes sense to me because it's really difficult at first. You start making more mistakes than you normally would. But just to illustrate why this is such a good idea to get into it, I'm going to play one round of the G major scale, and I'm going to only use downstrokes. I'm going to try to play as fast as I can, and it's not going to be very good, but I'll give it my best shot. Only downstrokes. This is what that sounds like. See, I even threw in some upstrokes. So, not crazy fast, it's really uneven and jerky. But if I bring in just a couple alternate strokes, or not just a couple, if I bring in exclusively alternate down, up, 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 I end up with this. Not only was it cleaner and more level, it was about 2 to 3 times faster. So that alternate picking is really a beneficial technique to get under your fingers, and it's something that you will have to come to grips with at some point in your guitar playing anyways, so you might as well start it early. And now, just to get you kind of into the idea of alternate picking and some things you can do, say, you've been playing only downstrokes for the last couple of years. It's a really weird and unnatural kind of thing to try and unlearn. But, again, it's super important for your playing, and if you want to get better and you want to play the music that you're listening to on Spotify and on YouTube, all of your favorite songs, it's really a technique that's kind of a prerequisite to being able to do a lot of different things. So, if the idea of alternate picking to you is just the most mind-boggling thing in the world, there's this exercise that I don't love, but I do use sometimes as kind of training wheels to get people used to the idea of alternate picking. And it's a kind of variation on a very popular exercise known as the spider exercise. So the way that this works is you're going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm talking fret numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up the neck, or all the way up the strings. And the reason this works really well for alternate picking is you're training your right hand to go down, up, and that happens on each string. Down, up, 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 down, up. And then here I would double down and go back down. So I go... So I'm doubling the lowest note when I'm down, when I come back down, and I'm doubling the highest note when I get up there, so that I can keep it in a constant flow. I'm going to do it a little bit faster, but it would sound like this. So that's a really good exercise to break your kind of bad habit and get into this idea of going up and down, because again, it's one of the most important things that you can learn on the guitar early on, because the longer you only play downstrokes, the longer you will be constantly holding yourself back, and the harder it will be to correct it. The next kind of thing that I prescribe to my students who are struggling with this is we work on something called the pentatonic scale, which a lot of us know and love and play, at least, this one minor box for some reason. I have videos on both the major and minor pentatonic scale on my channel if you want to check those out. I also have free diagrams for the scale available for download on my website, link to that in the description below. But I'm going to give you a quick little rundown of why the pentatonic scale is so useful, and we'll look at the first position and I'll have a beautiful diagram popping up here. So the thing that makes the pentatonic scale easy for alternate picking is there's exclusively 2 notes on each string. So that makes it pretty easy to down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Because sometimes when we alternate pick, the problem is when there's, say, 3 notes on one string. Say I went 1, 2, 3, so I went down, up, down. Now if I want to play a note on the next string and I'm alternate picking, it's going to be an upstroke. And that's a little bit of an awkward motion to do. I totally understand that. So that's why I like to use this pentatonic box as a way of getting over that, because there's only 2 notes on each string. So if I were practicing my alternate picking, I'd be paying super close attention to my right hand, and the first position of G major pentatonic would look like this. So that's what the first position is, and again, we want to just be down, up, down, up, down, up, and we want to be as strict with ourselves as possible, because again, breaking this habit is so important to becoming an intermediate and advanced level guitarist, and it gets harder and harder to break. So when you do this, if you find you're struggling, I sometimes get my students to be a little bit dramatic with it. And so rather than, super clean, close alternate picking, which is what the goal would be, we don't want to be going too crazy, but just to get your hand in the habit, I sometimes recommend that they go like a little bit dramatic with it, where they're taking kind of big swings, because something about that pendulum motion of it sometimes helps you keep it a little bit more reliable. So that's the biggest mistake that I see almost every beginner guitarist make, and it's one that's so important to crack, right at the beginning, because the longer you do it, the longer you will be held back in your playing, and the harder the habit is to break. I really hope you found this useful. Let me know if this has helped you out in the comments, and if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out more than you could know. If you want to take a guitar lesson with me, maybe work on some alternate picking, there's a link to the contact page on my website down below. I'd absolutely love to work with you on whatever's troubling you on the guitar. I teach all genres and all levels of students. And other than that, I've got new videos coming out on Mondays and Thursdays, so I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, I'll wish you a wonderful day, and I hope you get to have some fun playing the guitar.